Welcome back, everyone. As today we are talking about the ACC. Who is the best? Who is the worst? These are my power rankings for the ACC. Completely subjective. Let me hear it down in the comments. Who's the best? Is it going to be Miami, Clemson, maybe a dark horse like SMU? I'm really high on Syracuse. I'll let you know throughout the video. All right, let's just dive right in. Okay, so we're going to start off here talking about the worst teams going to the best. At number 17, I do have the Stanford Cardinals. Listen, the Cardinals have been a mess behind the scenes that has gone public. I mean, Frank Reich is now their head coach, and he's only going to be there for 1 year, it seems. And, Andrew Luck's in the front office, all this sort of stuff. I don't think Frank Reich is that good of a college coach. I think he's a great schemer. I think that he's great given time. If he was locked into Stanford for like 5 years, I would be more optimistic, but I'm frankly am not that optimistic about this Stanford team. You had a couple guys transfer out that were really good, such as corner Julian Neal and edge player David Bailey. Both those guys went to higher powered schools than Stanford's. I think Stanford's going to be one of the worst Power 4 teams in the country, in my opinion. And that's not just because of their roster, too. They have to travel all over Timbuktu because, they're on the West Coast, going out on the East Coast for every other week, it seems. Their returning roster is not great, in my opinion. Elijah Brown, the redshirt freshman, that's probably going to start at quarterback. I don't really know about him. I don't think that he's going to be that great of a quarterback. I hate to be so pessimistic, but it's Stanford. I think a lot of people share my opinion on them. Next up here at 16, we have the Wake Forest Demon Deacons. Wake Forest, hired a new coach. He brought in a ton of new staff. That coach being Jake Dickert from Washington State. He coached there for the past couple years, and now he is with the Demon Deacons. Overall, I think that he's going to build this team and this program up within the next 3 to 5 years. I think he'll have it at a nice place, but right now I don't think the team is in a nice place at all. Very disjointed. That's the word that comes to mind when I think of this team and this roster. They got one nice transfer in Falili Famo at right tackle. I think that that's very solid right there, coming in from Washington State. What a surprise. Washington State guy follows his coach. But I really am not too impressed with a lot of their transfers. It looks like Robbie Ashford will start for them. I'm not too impressed by him. I really like their running back, however, in Demond Claiborne, who was with the team last year, and he ran for over 1,000 yards. The defense, it's just not a very good defense in my opinion. And it's year one, a lot of turnover. I would say the floor is 2 wins and the ceiling is 6 wins. That's where I would put them. Stay tuned for, and by the way, with all of these teams, I will have record predictions out, probably by July. That's my goal, is to have record predictions out by July, in which you will know where I stand with all these teams. So, Wake Forest here, power rankings wise, right behind Stanford, but very low in this ACC power ranking. Okay, next up we have the Bill O'Brien-led Boston College Golden Eagles here. And this team, I just don't see a lot of juice with this team. They're going to have incumbent Grayson James, who took over midseason for Tommy Castellanos. So Grayson James will start for this team most likely. They don't have a lot of quarterbacks on the roster, so I think that it's logical to say that James will start. I don't see a lot of juice with him. He's pretty talented, I'm not going to lie, but I just don't see a whole lot around him. They bring back their top 2 pass catchers from last year in Reed Harris and Lewis Bond, but both of them combined didn't even get over 1,000 yards. Well, check that. They got barely over 1,000 yards. Lewis Bond had 680 receiving yards. Reed Harris had 480. So, not really impressive stats at all. The main force of this offense last year was Kai Robichaud, and he leaves. He left for the NFL. Trayshawn Ward will probably start at running back for them, the backup last year. And then on defense, everything, when I mean everything centered around Donovan Ezeraku, the edge player. He had 16 and a half sacks and 80 total tackles. That is second on the team in total tackles. I think he led all of FBS. If I'm not certain on that. I think he led all of FBS in sack numbers with that 16.5 there. And look, it was great season last year for them in terms of having a year one head coach. They got to a bowl game. They went 7-5. Great. But you lose your best defensive player pound for pound. I really didn't think that the defense was that great past that. KP Price was pretty good at strong safety. But other than that, I thought that they weren't that great outside of Ezraku. Ezraku really helped just push this team to a couple more wins. Again, they lost their star running back in Kai Robichaud. We got the backup from last year. Again, took over halfway through the year. But Grayson James starting, I just don't see a whole lot with this team. And also, their transfer class was the worst in the ACC, one of the worst ones in all of all of Power Four as well. So I just don't see a whole lot of juice with this team at all. Okay, up next we have the Cal Golden Bears. Oh my goodness, Cal. So Cal made a bowl game last year. They went 6-7. But man, and they had a good team last year. Don't get me wrong, they had a good team. They had first year in the ACC where they had to travel across the country back and forth all the time. It's one of the things I hate about college football right now, but I digress. And they had a pretty decent team, you know. Like I said, travel probably affected some things in year one. Overall, you know, having a 500 record by the end of the season is not bad for a team like Cal. But what really hurts them and what puts them so low is what they lost. They lost pretty much everyone. Of course, they lost their starting quarterback, Fernando Mendoza. He is gone. And, you know, he was the life force of that team last year. It seemed he brought all the passion, all of everything to every game. Threw for over 3,000 yards, barely. And, you know, didn't throw that many interceptions, didn't throw that many touchdowns either, but he was also pretty good on the ground as well. Rushing, they lost their top four rushers. They lost Javion Thomas, who ran for over 600 yards. Jaden Ott, over 380 yards. Kadarius Callaway, over 120 yards. And Fernando Mendoza, who obviously quarterback left, he had over 100 yards rushing as well. So they lost their top four running backs. And then receiving, they lost tight end. Tight end's a receiver in this case. Their tight end led the team in receiving, and that was Jack Endries. He left. He went for over 620 yards through the air. Nizia Hunter, their top wide receiver, left as well. And you had some other wide receivers who left, but you guys get the point. They were gutted on offense. I do not think this offense will do great this season at all. What they did get back, though, was Devin Brown. Well, not got back, but got in return, sort of, was Devin Brown, the backup quarterback at Ohio State last year. Tons of learning potential, I guess you could say. I don't know too much about Devin Brown other than the Mizzou game, because a lot of us don't know because he sat on the bench for a couple years. Jerron Quay Sagapatuli transferred back in. His story is worth a video all in itself, the way he went back and forth from Cal to Oregon, to Cal to Oregon to Cal. And right now he is at Cal for the moment, and he looks to play a role in this offense. He wants to play right away. I know that for sure. So him and Brown will be competing there, and I think that should be a pretty competitive battle. If Sagapatuli plays, I think that there's slightly more upside, but also the ceiling is way lower. The floor is way lower, but the ceiling is slightly higher with Sagapatuli. The offensive line does not look great to me. A lot of transfers there. The defense was just last year. Kind of looks that way again. And look, this Cal team lost all its juice from last season, and I don't know if they can replace it. Okay, so Virginia Tech now. We're entering a phase where I could definitely see the teams here and going forward getting to a bowl game. I think it's unlikely, but I could definitely see a world where it happens, where the other teams, I just don't see a situation where they make it past 6 wins, in my opinion. Tech is one of those teams where I don't really know what to make of them. They weren't great last season. They lost their top corner in Mansour Delane. Pardon me for that, please. They lost their top wide receiver in Stephen Gosnell. They lost their top running back. This was big for them in Brayshaw Tutton, who ran for 1,159 yards on the ground. He was an absolute stud, had 15 touchdowns as well. What they do bring back is starting quarterback Kyron Jones, who now has a full year under his belt. It wasn't I was kind of higher on him last season than a lot of people. Did not work out. That's okay. I think that he can have a pretty. I think that he can have a bounce back season here. But overall, it's just a lot of meh on this team, in my opinion. Up next is Virginia. I think Virginia could be, if you want to talk about a deep sleeper team, I think that Virginia might be a name that comes up. I think that they're a team that could make a bowl game here, and I think that that is within reason for them. Main reason being they were top five in the ACC when it comes to the transfer portal. Now, they did lose Malachi Fields at wide receiver. That was pretty huge. But they got some stud players back. They cemented a great tackle in Monroe Mills. They got a corner that will probably start for them in Emmanuel Carnley, and a wide receiver who will definitely help to replace Malachi Fields' production in Jamal Edrine from Purdue. And they got a bunch of other guys, and especially at quarterback, they got Chandler Morris, the quarterback from North Texas last year, who just lit it up through just for a bunch of yards. Really good. They brought back a lot of what they had last year, especially on the offensive line. Plus getting Monroe Mills at tackle, who was really good. Uh, at running back, they bring back Xavier Brown. And like I said, in the secondary, they got that corner. They got Devin Neal to play safety for them as well. Forgot to mention that out of the portal. And overall, I think that this Virginia team might surprise some people. They might not be at the bottom. I think that they're more of a mid-tier team now, which is trending up for them. Next up, we have Pat Narduzzi's Pitt Panthers. Now, Pitt's an interesting team, in my opinion. I think that they have the highest ceiling by far out of any team that we've talked about so far. They bring back their quarterback, who was really, really good last year in Eli Holstein. I think that he continues to get better. They bring back their top two rushers, the first one being running back Desmond Reed, who had just shy of 1,000 yards, and the other one obviously being Eli Holstein. The wide receiver room to me is a concern. They lost their number one wide receiver. Their number two in receiving yards was Desmond Reed, but number three was Kenny Johnson. He looks to be the number one wide receiver. I think it's a weak room overall, but I digress. They bring back one of their best defensive players. It maybe arguably the best player on this Pitt team, on this Pitt defense last year, in Kyle Lewis, the linebacker. He was second on the team in tackles with 101st on the team in sacks by a long shot. He had 4 interceptions as well, led the team in interceptions. He had 3 passes defended, had 1 pick six, forced a fumble, etc. He was all over the place for them. Probably, I would say, the keystone to that defense, and he comes back for them as well. So they have some star power returning. There are some holes on this roster, but overall, I think this is the most talented team we've seen thus far on this list. Now cracking the top 10 here, I have NC State. NC State's always been one of those teams in the ACC that always hangs around, is always a tough out, a little bit of a baseball term there, and I think it fits them perfectly. They always play the tough teams tough, and they always win the games that they're supposed to, so they always end up with around 7 or 8 wins every season, it seems, in my opinion. I'm not an NC State expert, but if you're an NC State fan, let me hear it down in the comments about what you think for this upcoming season for them. Now, what I think, it's not what they got per se, because I don't think they had a great portal class, but it's what they retain. Now, my quarterback, they bring back now sophomore CJ Bailey, who last year was all right. He was pretty good. He threw for over 2,400 yards and was second. He was fourth on the team in rushing, with over 275 yards on the ground. So he was a pretty dynamic player, in my opinion. But obviously some improvement is needed, but they return him. That's great. Hollywood Smothers, what a name there. He comes back as well. He led the team in rushing with 571 yards, and they bring back their tight end who led the team in receiving last year. That was Justin Jolly, who had 43 receptions for 661 yards and 4 touchdowns. Now, obviously, they lost a bunch of not a bunch. They lost a couple key players, which I think are going to hold them back this season. Obviously, Casey Concepcion left. He did have a down year last year, but he is a tremendous talent. And then in the defense, in the secondary especially, they lost some key players. They lost 2 safeties in Bishop Fitzgerald and Devon Boykin, who were both pretty good. They lost to Marcus Cooley, Brandon Cece, who was really good as well. So I think that I think that this team has the firepower to stick with teams. And like I said, NC State always a tough out. Next up, the Manny Diaz led Duke Blue Devils. I think that last year, they went 9-4. It was a great season all around. And what did they do? They went out and they upgraded at the quarterback position, getting Darian Mensah to come over. Their portal class wasn't a great one. They only got 9 commitments, but one of those in Darian Mensah was an amazing one out of Tulane. Played awesome last year. I loved the pickup for them. And, Manny Diaz has instilled a winning mindset in Duke. I like to buy Duke stock for the next 5 years, in my opinion, as long as Manny Diaz stays there. This season, I'm a little bit more conservative with my picks with them. I don't think they quite have the firepower needed to be a big dog in the conference quite yet, but I still have them here in the now middle, right, almost here in the middle, at 9 here. They bring back some pretty impressive players as well. They bring back Keyshawn Brown, who went for 445 receiving yards last year. They lost Star Thomas, the running back, but the backup, Jaquez Moore, should fill the shoes pretty nicely, in my opinion. It wasn't earth-shattering numbers by Star Thomas. They bring back their interception leader in Terry Moore, the safety, and their sack leader, Wesley Williams, at the defensive end position. He comes back as well. Overall, I do like this Duke team, but not enough to really be sold on them. All right, next we have Fran Brown's Syracuse Orange. I loved Syracuse last season, and I was mostly right about them. I thought that they were gonna really overachieve, and they did. Now this season, I'm tempering my expectations a little bit, but I still think that they'll be a very solid team, in my opinion. They got Steve Angeli to come in and play quarterback. I think that he was one of the better backups in all of college football last season. Replacing Kyle McCord's 4,779 passing yards would be ridiculous. But I think that still he can fill the shoes nicely, in my opinion. Yasin Willis at running back is pretty good. They did lose a lot of production, in my opinion. They lost, several 4-star players, namely Trevor Pena to the portal. So I think that that's why I temper my expectations for them a little bit, but I do trust Fran Brown to really right this ship, in terms of, they may not have all the talent in the world, but he will coach them up real nicely. He's that tactician type of guy. He's a motivator. He motivates his players. So even when he doesn't have the talent, he's going to find ways to get the best out of his players. Next up, I have a true wild card here in the Florida State Seminoles. I may be a bit higher on them than everyone else. I think that this team, their ceiling is really high, but their floor is also extremely low. I think that this team, they went all or nothing again. Last year at this time, we were talking about how good Florida State's going to be because they had such a great portal class and all that, and obviously it did not work out for them, and that is an understatement. DJU did not pan out. Neither did Brock Glenn or Luke Croman-Hoke or really anyone on this team. No one really panned out at all on this team. So what did they do? They doubled down. Mike Norvell doubled down, went into the portal, and got pretty much every single one of his starters for this upcoming year from the portal. Now, I really do like some of these additions, but I do have a cause for concern with some of them. Deuce Robinson and Squirrel White at wide receiver, I love both of them. Luke Pettibon playing center, I love him. Micah Pettis at tackle, he is really good, highly rated guy. Deontay McCray, DeMonte Diggs, James Williams, all on the defensive line, really good. Stephon Diggs, no, they did not get Stephon Diggs. Sorry about that. Stephon Thompson at middle linebacker. I got to slow myself down here a little bit. I'm tripping over players here. Stephon Thompson at middle linebacker should be a welcome addition as well. I really give pause to the Tommy Castellanos get at quarterback. I really don't think that he's the guy you want, and I think that he's going to hold this team back big time. I'm not a huge Tommy Castellanos fan at all. Look, he's got some talent. He's a dual threat guy. Did not like what he did at Boston College last year, and that is cause for concern. But Mike Norvell, he doubled down. He went into the portal again big time. He got a top six. His class was number 6 according to 24/7 Sports, and it kind of blew everyone else away. Everyone that thought that he wasn't going to pick up where he left off, but he certainly did. And I will be giving you guys my schedule prediction and breakdown for them later in the off season, probably closer to July. But it's going to be an intriguing one, and I would tell you that for certain. Next up, we have the second most unpredictable team behind Florida State, in my opinion, the North Carolina Tar Heels. Everyone knows what's going on down there with them. Jordan Hudson, everyone. I'm just kidding. There, you got Bill Belichick in as the primary head, as the head coach there. I say that all in jest in terms of his girlfriend, obviously. But talking about this team here, it's not a bad team per se in terms of the roster. They lost a lot of good talent from the previous regime, such as players like Howard Sampson, excuse me, that one of the better tackles in the portal. He left and went to Texas Tech, surprise. But other than that, and losing Bew Atkinson as well, I almost forgot about him. Losing him to Ohio State was pretty huge. Other than that, they got a lot of really good players out of the portal. Thaddeus Dixon at corner, Daniel King at tackle, Kamori House at linebacker, and Price Yates at the defensive line position. All those guys are really, really good, in my opinion. Got Smith Vilbert at the edge position, guy who will probably replace Bew Atkinson's production. Makai Gabayer, who will play in that middle of that linebacker room right there. I think, and Gio Lopez obviously at quarterback, he'll be slinging it around. And I really don't know, man. They lost one of the best running backs in college football in Omarion Hampton, but his backup Davion Goss should be a pretty decent back in my opinion. I just don't know. Now, the reason I put them over Florida State is because of coaching. I think that Bill Belichick has so much more experience than Mike Norvell. He could coach circles around him, in my opinion. But is this team that much better than Florida State? No. So I think that these two teams are in a tier of their own when it comes to the ACC. Now we come to the top five in a team who I really, really like is the Louisville Cardinals, led by head coach Jeff Brom. I think, like Josh Pate said, he is the most or one of the most underrated coaches in college football. I will be doing a video similar to that later in the offseason. Hopefully in a week or two, I can get that video made as of the time of this recording. That tangent aside, I think that Louisville has a great chance to upset some teams, has a great chance to get to 8, 9, possibly even double-digit wins. And it all starts with the running back, in my opinion. You got Isaac Brown. I really like this guy. I think he's a top 5 running back in the country. I did a video on the top 5 running backs in the country. If you want to go see that, it's on my channel page a couple videos back. Isaac Brown, true freshman last year, had the bulk of the carries, and not even really the bulk of the carries. They gave a lot of carries to a lot of different people, but he got the majority of them. That's what I meant to say. He got 165 carries for over 1,000 for exactly 1,173 yards. Other guys, Duke Watson had 67 carries. Other running backs combined had over 100 carries. So if Brown gets another 100 carries, he's a really good dynamic running back, home run hitter of running back. He had a ton of 50-plus yard touchdown runs. He had 11 of those touchdowns, his long being 77. Now, I think they upgrade at quarterback slightly. Tyler Shuck was decently good for them last season, not great. But they got Miller Moss, who kind of got ran out of USC for no particular reason, in my opinion. I like Jaden Mayava a lot. If you see my Big Ten quarterbacks video, I like him a lot. But I really like Miller Moss as well, and I think that he went kind of under the radar ever since he got benched by USC. So I think that he was a great pickup there as well. On the defense, you got some really good players as well. But point being, I think that Louisville has a chance to contend in the ACC. An outside shot at that, obviously. But I think that they could hang when they play some of the top tier teams. And I think that they'll absolutely destroy some of the lower tier teams, as something that a growing program should do. And I think that they have one of the better head coaches in the business locked up. Next up is a team that I think is forgotten about a lot. At number 4, I have SMU. I think that they are not talked about enough as a team who can really compete for a lot of good things this upcoming year. Yes, flash in a pan type of season last year. I don't think that they're going to be quite as good as they were last year, but they do bring back Kevin Jennings. I think that if he solves his turnover problem, he can be a heck of a quarterback, dual threat type of guy. A name to watch out for on this offense, though, is true freshman Daylon Singleton. I think that he will be one of the better freshman wide receivers out there. And I know there's a lot of them, but this guy can really play. He's really a guy who I think might even start. So he's the guy to watch out for there. They got Isaiah Nwakobia back at strong safety. He had over 100 tackles. He was really good for them there. And I think that this SMU team can really contend. I think that they're probably a top 30, top 35, top 32-ish team. I don't think they're quite top 25, but I think that they're knocking on the door. Okay, going into our top three here, these three teams have an excellent chance to. I think one of these three teams will win the ACC, and two of them will be in the ACC championship game. And I think all three of them are top 15 teams in the league. Number three here, Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech, in my opinion, I'm super high on them. I really like them. I just have this feeling about them like they're going to be good. I had the same feeling with Syracuse last season. I don't think I'm going to be wrong on Georgia Tech for a couple of reasons. Number one, you got your quarterback checked and locked in. Haynes King, I think, is one of the top 6 or 7 quarterbacks in the country. Yes, you heard that right. If you go watch my top 10 quarterback preview video, I laid out why I think Haynes King is one of the top quarterbacks in the country, and he is not getting enough respect. He is a gutsy, lays his heart out on the field type of quarterback. No, he's not as polished as a guy like Drew Aller is going to be, or even a guy like Carson Beck is going to be passing, but he gets the job done. High completion percentage, does not turn the ball over. He only had 2 interceptions last season. Yes, he did miss a couple games, but still, the point remains. He ran for over 580 yards. So that's just phenomenal quarterback in my opinion. Next up, you got checked in. Your number one running back, Jamal Haynes, is back. He got the bulk of the carries last season, ran for just shy of 1,000 yards and 9 touchdowns on the ground. He was great last season as well. Eric Singleton, their leading receiver, did leave, but they got their replacement back, and I think that he's a pretty good receiver himself, and Eric Rivers from FIU. They got the majority of their defense back. And I just think that they're a team that's really should not be trifled with this upcoming season. Now, number 2, and you'll know who number 1 is after I say it, but number 2 is the Miami Hurricanes. Look, this team is going to be borderline elite this upcoming year, in my opinion. I have them top 10 in the country with my latest top 25. Again, another video. If you want to go see that one, just go to my channel page. It's right there as well. I think it's one of the featured videos. But Miami, one of those teams who, again, getting slept on a lot, in my opinion. I see them, they're in the top 25, but they're up and down. Some people have them really high. Some people have them really low. I'm high on them for a variety of reasons. Number one, they had one of the best transfer portal classes yet again. They got Carson Beck, who we'll start with him first. Carson Beck is a guy who a lot of people are up and down on. Really, it shapes how they think about Miami. I think that he doesn't have to be Cam Ward, in my opinion. They just need him to get the ball to the playmakers, and I think that he's going to do an excellent job of that. So I really don't think that he's going to be Cam Ward, but he also doesn't need to be Cam Ward. And part of that, as we segue again, is they got a better defense overall, in my opinion. They completely redid the secondary, which was in dire need of help. Their front seven wasn't bad. They returned most of their front 7 players, but the secondary was just terrible last season, and they completely redid it. They got a new starter at every single position in the secondary, and most of them are blue chip type of players. Xavier Lucas, top corner from Wisconsin. Zachariah Poyser, safety. You go to Ethan O'Connor, Charles Brantley, Emmanuel Carnley. These guys are all going to be starting for them, all blue chip type of guys, 4-star and above in the portal. They got CJ Daniels to come in and play wide receiver. They did lose Isaiah Horton, which is pretty big, but they're going to replace that production, in my opinion, with a guy like Kalen Marion, who transfers in from BYU. Like I said, CJ Daniels. I really am a big believer in this Miami team. Corey Heatherman, their new defensive coordinator from Minnesota, is going to do wonders for them. I'm really high on him. I'm really high on this Miami team. And at number one, you guessed it, it's the Clemson Tigers. I think I'm right along there with pretty much everyone else with Clemson. I don't think ESPN does them justice. I think they put Clemson like in the double digits in their newest top 25. I could be wrong with that. I know they're not high on Clemson, but I am. And one of the reasons is I think this is the most talented team that Dabo has had since COVID, basically, since before COVID. I think that those championship teams, this is the type of talent that he had when he was there. He's got the senior Cade Klubnik. I think that he is the best college quarterback right now. I think he is one of one, in my opinion. I think that he will just explode onto the scene this year if he hasn't already. I think they have a top 5 wide receiver room in TJ Moore, Bryant Wesco, and Antonio Williams. I think that all three of those guys are studs. The one thing I do have concern with this team's small thing here, but the running back room, they're going to be starting Gideon Davidson, probably is my guess, but outside, and you always give pause to a freshman running back starting, but I digress. He might play really well. Who knows? Especially with this offensive line, who returns everybody and is really good. In excuse me, in my opinion, the defense brings back everyone as well. Another reason why I think they'll do well. And they got a key transfer here, 2 key transfers in Will Held, who has looked really good out of camp, and Jeremiah Alexander at linebacker. Both of those guys will play pivotal roles as transfers, and Dabo doesn't do transfers, but he got some good ones this cycle. Sammy Brown is going to explode. He is going to be one of the top linebackers in the country. TJ Parker, Peter Woods, both those guys at a defensive end and defensive tackle, really good. The secondary, I think, is real good as well. So am really high on this Clemson team. I think that they are. I'm not sure if they're my national championship pick, but we're gonna have to wait and see for that. But I know they're gonna be right there at the end of it. And we are now at the end of this video. Thank you so much for watching. I know it's a longer video, over half an hour long, but in order to cover all these teams and cover them accurately, you got to give each team a little bit of what is due for them. For the top teams, or the top half teams, I'm going to be doing a lot of breakdown videos on just those teams specifically, so stay tuned for that. And I mean, the channel here, it's been humming at a great rate here in terms of I'm putting out the content. I just need y'all to watch it. I need y'all to subscribe as well. I haven't mentioned that at all this video. I do everything for free here on the channel. No subscriptions, no nothing, obviously, because we're a growing channel here. I do everything myself. I edit all the videos myself. I create all the graphics, record all that stuff, publish all that myself. You're getting 100% of Eddie from College Football 360. Speaking of which, go follow me on Twitter by that name, Eddie from College Football 360. And I mean, I just love creating college football content for you guys. I would continue. I would continue to ask that you guys subscribe, like the video, comment your thoughts down below, and most importantly, share it with other people. Right now, we need the view count up. We need the subscriber count up. We need everything to be pointing up. Arrows up is what I would really like. So I saved this plug for the end so that you guys get my full thoughts on the ACC. I think that that's the right thing to do, and going forward, I will be trying to do that. Stay tuned for more exciting stuff on the channel. I got videos that will be coming out multiple times a week, and I just love doing it. So thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one.